Hi y'all, today I'm going to be showing you my top 10 favorite horror game demos from Steam's October NextFest. I'm a bit faceless for this video, ooh, spooky, so let's give voiceover Krista a shot. And as always, all games will be linked in the description, so let's go. Coming up with number 10, we have Lost in the Woods. Violet's marriage is falling apart, plain and simple, and a little unnerving. One night, in a desperate attempt to make things right, she ventures into a mysterious forest, determined to gather the cherished belongings that once brought joy to her husband. But the woods are full of secrets. A strange will-o'-the-wisp appears again and again, its intent unclear, friend or foe. As Nordic folklore comes to life around her, the line between reality and memory begins to blur. This game intertwines an emotional narrative with surreal encounters and enigmatic gameplay that will leave both players and observers captivated. On her search for the lost fragments of her relationship, Violet encounters strange objects and enigmatic creatures. Some seem familiar, others frighten with their strangeness. As she ventures deeper into this surreal forest, the line between reality and delusion begins to blur. Things appear that shouldn't exist, memories twist, and every decision can lead her fate further into an unexpected direction. The hallucinogenics and the narrative reminded me of Frambo, but with voice acting. As someone who mainly plays games on stream, I sometimes have a hard time with games that have lengthy dialogue that I have to read out loud, so this was a nice change of pace. I really love getting to play as Violet as she frantically tried to find her husband's favorite items in an effort to make him love her again. I appreciate the implementation of Nordic folklore. I think this adds to the narrative and what it seems to be Violet's deteriorating sanity. I'm a fan of the art style and the color palette in this game. It looks like we played through the true ending, but another ending will be available in the full release. I can't wait to see where Violet's sanity takes her and what new symbolism arises. This game currently does not have a release date, but be sure to follow the developer for updates. Number 9, The Ninth Channel. The Ninth Channel is a first-person psychological survival horror game. Filled with a rich and frightening atmosphere, this game aims at providing a haunting and desperate action survival experience. While exploring the many mysteries of this world, you must survive, whether you do it through stealth or by using weapons. Most of the time, the player has to survive impossible threats through stealth and clever navigation of the environment. As the player progresses through the game and threats grow significantly more complex, the player uncovers new stories and receives new weapons. At its scariest, the game preys on the player's anxiety, survival, and exploration skills. It takes place in a not-so-future world where people have lost faith in the prosperity of human development, people are selfish, and governments are corrupt. When I discovered this game, I thought it had interesting areas in the promos and in the cutscenes. At times, I thought the cutscenes were more interesting to look at than the gameplay personally, but for a solo indie development, I would say the puzzles are good and the jump scares are pretty solid. I'm curious as to see where the story goes. It felt a bit convoluted in the demo to follow. I'm curious to see if this goes down an obvious cult demon narrative that it seems to present, or if the story is going to give me something new. This game has a release date of 2026. Number 8, I'm on observation duty. As an employee of a mysterious organization, your job is to monitor live surveillance camera footage and report otherworldly anomalies using your sharp eyes and good memory. Can you survive the entire night shift, or will you succumb to paranoia? Monitor surveillance cameras across 6 unique levels, each with their own unnerving anomalies. Supernatural occurrences ranging from subtle environmental shifts to grotesque otherworldly intruders. Report anomalies to fix them and survive the night, if you can. Apparently, this franchise is the original that ignited a trend in Spot the Difference horror games, which I actually had no idea about. This is my first time playing anything from the franchise. Usually with games that are similar in Spot the Difference, I can get pretty bored and I feel not as engaged. However, with Observation Duty, I was on my toes and I felt like the scares were actually scarier and unsettling. You flip through cameras to spot anomalies, which in other games can feel pretty one note, but this game is great about keeping your attention, which is nice for someone like me who has ADHD. This game currently does not have a release date, but be sure to follow the developer for updates. Number 7, Shock. Wake up, survive, escape. In Shock, a gripping third-person psychological horror experience, you find yourself trapped in the dark, claustrophobic confines of an abandoned indoor parking lot, with no memory of how you got there. Playing as a disabled war veteran, you've lost both legs and your only means of mobility is a wheelchair. But as you soon discover, you're not alone. A terrifying man-made cybernetic creature roams the desolate lot, hunting you down. The question is, can you survive long enough to escape, survive the horror, and uncover the truth behind this nightmare? Overall, I think it has a very unique gameplay experience involving disability in a horror, which is something I feel like I rarely see of the genre. Is impressive. The wheelchair mechanics are very well done, and I feel like it's pretty easy to get around. I will say for visibility meter, maybe we could have an indication of how much sound we're causing. I think that would be helpful to know. I didn't get caught by the snake because I was too overly cautious of bumping into a car or a pole, and I didn't know how much sound I would make. From the trailer at the end of the demo, this is one to look out for. This game has a release date of Q1 2026. Number 6, Storybound, a 1-to-3 co-op horror game. Play as ordinary shoppers trapped in an accursed megastore. Find the exits together at all costs before the employees catch you. Find your way through a shopping complex that was never meant for you. By day, lights flicker across deserted halls, inviting curiosity. By night, employees roam the aisles looking to assist you. Silence, teamwork, and quick thinking are your only tools for survival. Find the exit together at all costs before the employees catch you. This takes my anxiety of shopping in public to a new level as you try to avoid the employees who want to quote-unquote help. More like murder me. I wasn't sure I was going to get to play much of this demo as you need other people, but honestly, shout out to Lahuffy for showing me the ropes and basically helping me with all the puzzles. He was the only guy that was able to play with, so you know what, shout out to him. With all the puzzles, I think the design is an interesting blend of 2000s nostalgia and late 90s play animation, which really captured my attention. I could see this as being a fun game to explore with friends and might even bring back some of the nostalgia that games like Project Playtime took with them. This game currently does not have a release date, but be sure to follow the developer for updates. Number 5, Pathologic 3. Pathologic 3 is a psychological horror game. You are a doctor with only 12 days to save a town from a mysterious plague, make ruthless decisions, and diagnose with precision. Shape the town's future and rewrite the past. Hold yourself together while it all falls apart. You are Daniil Dingovsky, physician, researcher, prodigy. Your research into the nature of death has brought you to this remote town deep in the eastern steppe, looking for a man said to be immortal, but the outbreak of a deadly contagion sweeps through the town. The immortal man is dead. You failed to stop it. Now you must return to the beginning. Fix your mistakes. Save the town. I'm not gonna lie, when I first started playing this demo, I immediately thought it was gonna be at the top. And it's not at the top because it's bad. It's not at the top because there are just so many amazing games that I got to play this go around. I have a little bit of experience with Pathologic. I briefly played a bit of Pathologic 2 a few years ago, and so I'm slightly familiar with balancing between being in a state of apathy and mania as I try to solve numerous impending moral dilemmas. I feel like the demo is pretty fleshed out. I only played an hour of it, but I've seen the demo take as long as 3 hours. I'm intrigued to meet new characters, battle my psyche, and solve another mystery in a new installment that is constantly breaking the fourth wall as a suffering simulator. This has a release date of January 9th, 2026. Number 4, Room 404. Room 404 is a first-person Chinese horror game. Players must discern anomalies within an endlessly looping corridor, make decisions in attempts to unravel the mysteries surrounding themselves in the 4 floors of the apartment. A lot of 4s, I know. This was another anomaly spotting game I played that at first was confusing, but then I started getting the hang of it. I appreciated the visuals and the scares definitely got me. This game stood out to me more than the other anomaly games because I felt like I was working towards something. I don't play many of this genre for the reason being it can feel too static or rigid. Like with Observation Duty earlier, it is essentially flipping through cameras. I think you can make a great anomaly game that also includes some kind of movement and goal. I would say Room 404 has that for me, which is why it's higher on the list. I would say my only con would be a bit more anomalies in the beginning because at first it was confusing figuring out what was one and what wasn't. But otherwise, I enjoyed it. I would love to look further into this game when it comes out so I can check out all the rooms. This game has a release date of 2025, so I'm assuming it's probably going to be coming out soon. All right, you know how it is over here. Before we even get into the top 3 demos I played during this round of NextFest, the last NextFest for 2025, I do have to give an honorable mention to Yapyav. Yapyav is an online co-op horror game where up to 6 wizard minions go into an archmage's tower, use an assortment of spells to vandalize, break, and steal, but beware the horrifying magical creatures that roam the halls. I didn't play much because you really did need friends to progress. This game, it reminded me a lot of Peak, but set in kind of like a medieval with a lot of horror aspects implemented as well, which is really honestly pretty fun. I enjoy the emotes and my wizard was so silly. Like, look at me go. I'm excited to play this with friends when it releases. Coming in at number 3, Reanimal. From the creators of Little Nightmares 1 and 2 brings a new journey. We'll venture into the abandoned mill in search of one of your missing friends and learn quickly that cooperation is the only means of survival. I think this is probably one of the most anticipated releases of the upcoming year, and for the reason being, like, it's by the same creators of Little Nightmares 1 and 2. I'm always excited for what Tarsier puts out, and we are introduced to 2 new playable characters with more puzzles and more of the creepy style of enemies we loved from previous games. I love that in this game they are using ocean and land as horror elements, and I love that they're using different backdrops. We see them running out of a movie theater, we see them on a train, and I think that's really interesting, and I like that they're using new element for this new story. It doesn't feel like another Little Nightmares game, which is really cool to see. I feel like that it makes the game very dynamic, and when moving through the demo, it didn't feel like I was moving through levels but through a story. I encountered some visual glitches and frame stuttering through the demo that I hope they will fix by the time of release. Overall though, I had fun with this game. After being relatively disappointed with Little Nightmares 3, you can feel Tarsier's removal. I'm incredibly excited and hopeful for a new story. This has a release date of Q1 2026. Coming in at number 2, Habromania. Habromania is a dreamy or nightmarish Alice in Wonderland inspired RPG that follows 19-year-old Alice as she tries to escape the surreal, cozy hellscape that is Wonderland, hopefully with her sanity intact. Alice wakes up at the bottom of a hole with a pounding headache and no memories of how she landed there, or memories in general, actually. She can't remember her past, but she knows that she needs to get out of here, wherever here is. Guide Alice as she attempts to escape Wonderland, navigating lush, hand-drawn environments with the socially incompetent characters who inhabit them, all with their own complex past and varied moral compasses. This was a hauntingly beautiful demo that leaves me eager for more. This absolutely beautiful, and I can only say beautiful so many times, but that's just like what it is. It's just so incredibly gorgeous. The game is hand painted and it's so intricate. Everything down to the loading cat clock was so gorgeously and meticulously designed. You can tell that there was a lot of love put into this game. You can also tell that there was thought and whimsy in every aspect. I did hear about from numerous people about the crashes from this game. I only encountered 2 at the beginning before switching to a different game engine. The story is incredibly beguiling and the narrative is easy to follow. I love the banter in the dialogue and the quips. I've been watching this project for a few years and I'm heavily anticipating its release. This game currently does not have a release date, but be sure to follow the developer for updates. Coming in at number 1 is Sleep Awake. Sleep Awake is an immersive first-person psychedelic horror narrative experience that explores the realm between sleep and death. In the last known city on Earth, people are disappearing in their sleep. Those who remain exist in a crisis of reckless experiments to keep awake. You must navigate depraved death cults, otherworldly forces, and the ever-present horror of the hush to save yourself and those who rely upon you. Playing as Katja, you must survive the devotees of various depraved death cults and desperately try to stay awake. Solve the puzzles of this mysterious world while avoiding the grasp of the death cults in an attempt to shatter the horrors of the past. Some of my favorite games are What Remains of Edith Finch and We Happy Few. A lot of people have called this a walking simulator game, and it is for the most part. If you're looking for combat or non-linear gameplay, you're in the wrong spot. For someone like me, I love a good story with appropriate horror elements. I'm not a fan of jump scares without a purpose, gore without a reason, and I think so far what I've seen, the demo does a brilliant job about creating a horror narrative that makes you scared to sleep. I think capitalizing on a common fear of being too scared to fall asleep after experiencing some genre or media horrific is brilliant. Visuals aside, and trust me, we will get there, I think the story has a lot of potential and I'm excited to see where it goes. It looks like it'll be more than just a walking simulator. I'm hoping we also get a craft and combat system, since it looks like we have a stealth system in the demo. But if it's just a walking simulator, I'd be pretty happy either way. Now, the visuals, I will say, are stunning. I enjoy how the game implements psychedelic dreamscape and real images. Most times when I see video games using actual people in animation, it can feel lazy. I'm looking at you, Control. But here I feel it works, and the real visuals are so systematically polarizing that it complements the weird and uncertainness of these dreams we're experiencing. I'm very much looking forward to this game. This game currently does not have a release date, but be sure to follow the developer for updates. Those are my top 10 games I played from Steam's October NextFest. I hope you found a new game. Let me know down in the comments which games were your favorite and what are you most excited to try. All games will be linked in the description, and if you want to see my face and hear me yap, you can catch me on Twitch Mondays through Wednesdays playing a variety of horror games. Do good, be kind, and I will see y'all next time. Bye!